Thank you. Oh, g'day. My name's Mark Wills, and I'm one of several site administrators for an online community known as Experts Exchange. Now, for those of you who don't know what Experts Exchange is, it's basically a Q&A forum, question and answer forum. And the idea is that we help people in need resolve their technology problems. Fairly simple, isn't it? But we do that as an online community. Now, when the good folks of VE approached me to talk at a conference with a fellow called Ted, I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. What's the subject? And they said, it's all about community. And I said, yeah. Why don't I talk about the online community and how it really challenges our thought process of what we understand a community to be? See, online sort of dispenses with geographic boundaries. So, I mean, there are no time zones. Even things like age, gender and ethnicity don't exist anymore. Not when you're online. And that's really the new paradigm. For the people that are old enough, like me, then what our traditional understanding of community is, really is the new paradigm of being anonymous, being faceless, being able to work in a media that no longer adequately expresses these sort of hand gestures, you know. And that's what we've got to deal with. For the people that have been brought up online, it's quite a different experience entirely. What they have to come to grips with is becoming an active member of a community, creating an identity for themselves, actually having a point of presence. And that's quite a challenge in itself. Because the offline environment that we know and love is pretty simple. I mean, you know, you're talking face to face, as we are now, being offline. But the online is completely faceless. I mean, at best, we're given a username. And it might not even be a real username. But that's the identity that we've got to work with. And that's often the only identity that we have to work with. So it becomes very much the faceless community. It becomes very much the environment where all of a sudden all our social skills and everything else are gone. We don't need them anymore. All we need to be able to do is type and express that somehow in typing. Now, being a technology forum, we've got a few extra challenges. The few extra challenges are computer programmers. They're not really well known for their communication skills. We also have a few other challenges. The askers, the people that are needing help, sometimes their jobs are on the line. So there's this whole trust element that comes into play. And how does one instill a level of trust? How does one get that relationship working? How does one get the commitment working between the person who's got the answer and the person that needs the answer? And that's probably the single hardest thing to do in an online community. I think it comes down to 4 different things. 5. 6. No, probably 4 main things. The first one would be, I think, longevity. You know, the site's got a point of presence. Now, EE didn't necessarily start out to be a community. It sort of evolved into a community. It's sort of become that way because we've got a core of about 2,000 or so experts, and each one of them has got over 2,700 odd days of tenure. So they've been there for a long time, and they're really the pulse, the heartbeat. They're the people that have got that community spirit down pat. The second one is shared value. And that's an important one. That's a really important one. Because answering a question, you've got to be able to share that question. You've got to be able to share the knowledge that's going to make a difference on both sides of the account. Not just one side, both sides of the account. And that whole sharing experience, that whole shared value, is probably the single most important thing that actually gives you an answer at the end of the day. And it's not just a technically correct answer, it's the answer that's going to give you a solution that's going to make a difference to your job. Now, the third one is community management. And community management within EE is really members of the community. It's not EE staff or anybody else. I mean, to EE's credit, what they've done is empower the community to run the community. So they're individuals that are actually looking after their own best interests, which I think is vitally important. I mean, it's their website. It'd be very, very easy for them to put down some rules and some laws, and we do have that. We have a thing called the terms of use. Now, everybody's seen those terms of use things where you go onto a sign that says, tick here, yes, I've read, push next. Yeah, nobody ever reads them, right? No. Well, those terms of use normally express what the community values are, and that's what community management is trying to uphold and instill in all its members. And that's probably the single hardest thing to do. So we invent these things called moderators to help police that. Unfortunately, the old-fashioned moderator is gone. The policeman, the one that is meant to say, look, obey this or else you're out. The moderator's new role is to talk up the community, not talk down to the community. The new moderator's role is upbeat, not beat up. And I think that's really important for the health of the community, because they're the ones that are going to enforce or reinforce the values of that community so that everybody will be able to benefit. So everybody will be able to share that shared goal experience. The fourth one is trust. And it really comes down to common courtesy and respect. I mean, all the experts probably started out as being an asker at some point in time. You know, they've got a problem and they needed a solution, so they ask a question. So they know what it's like on the other side of the fence. That's not really the issue. The issue is probably more the person asking the question whose job might be on the line. They're approaching a deadline. They need help. They've been promoted into a position where they have no idea what it is that they need to do. And in fact, the very question that they're asking on site, the very reason why they're there is because they don't know the answer. So it's up to the expert, it's up to the sharing of that experience, sharing the knowledge to be able to first extract the real underlying problem and then come up with a real solution. So they must communicate. It's not enough just to be able to post up a question and get the right answer. So they're the four main things that come into play. But there's also a lot of other challenges with being online. One is you don't really know the person that you're dealing with. You've got a username. And hopefully it's something like Mark Wills, because you know it's going to be a good answer. Just in case you're wondering. Or you look at their persona, you look at what it is. But the most important thing with that is that you've got to get that vital level of participation. You've got to get people on there that stay there. You've got to build in some of that longevity. You've got to build an environment, and this is up to the community management to actually create that environment where it's safe for people to be, where they can actually open up, where they can be their real identities, not their pseudonym, to be able to find out what the real answer is to a real problem, to get that sharing. And the community management team instill the values of the community. They're there to police the community. Well, hopefully not police it too much. But they're there to encourage the community to interact, to participate, to actually commit to the community values. And that's the important thing, being able to commit to the community values. With that, what you do is you grow a community. Without that, what you do is you have a social site. And it's not too different in many ways. It's that level of commitment, that level of participation that is all important. But that won't happen by itself. You need to motivate that level of participation somehow. You need for people to feel as if they need to belong to that community. And what do? Well, we empower the asker. We empower the person who needs the help to be able to decide if that help was sufficient or not. And that's a fairly important distinction. You see a lot of other sites that go out there and say, right, here's the answer, here's the technically correct answer, and then 52 people pile on and say, no, it's not. And they vote it down. You get that 8 times and you're out of the site. That's not really instilling much of a sense of community at all. So what we do is empower the asker. And the asker can reward whatever answer. Whatever that light bulb moment was, it doesn't have to be the technically correct answer. It's whatever answer helps that person come to a solution that's going to make a difference in their day, in their job. And it could be a totally wrong answer, but it's, oh, look at that. Tick. Now I know why. So, there's not necessarily a lot of intrinsic value in that, other than that shared experience of being able to brought together a real solution. So we motivate them. So the asker rewards whatever that answer is, whatever that light bulb moment solution is. And then, of course, what happens from there is that the expert gets a whole pile of praise and thanks. I feel good, I helped somebody. But what they also get is something a little bit more tangible. And they get points. And points accumulate to certification. And certification gives you some kind of credibility, gives you some kind of authority. All of a sudden, you're a genius. You know about this stuff. And what we're doing is building up these sort of levels of certification. And they're really important. Why? Because you can use them, not just within the site, but externally as well. I mean, it gives some kind of credibility to a future employer, knowing that this person has helped real people with real problems in a real life scenario, and it's not just something learned out of a study guide. They're viable solutions. It's viable credibility. But more importantly, what we also do is use those sort of environments, enticements and motivations to hear what the community's got to say, to respond to what the community needs and to what they're asking for. One expert had a particular problem and all the other community members rallied together and raised several $1,000s to get him out of trouble. Another example is our own MVE program, where hopefully there will be industry recognition within the next couple of years of those experts that not only have outstanding knowledge, but know how to deliver it and share it. So those sort of things are vitally important. And then we actually leverage off the very essence of what that community now is and do things like build wells in Africa. So people that don't have clean water can have a drink. And we're going to be doing a lot more of those sort of things, leveraging off the real power of the community to be able to make a difference in people's lives that otherwise wouldn't happen unless they knew a little bit about Experts Exchange as a community. And that's the real power of the online community. It's not necessarily what's in it for you as much as what you can do for so many more. Thank you.